Hi, and welcome to the Progress Note Guide for counselors and other professional staff at Cardia. A few things to keep in mind. The goal is really to write most progress notes in 10 minutes or less. We know that that's not always possible, but the hope is that generally speaking, 10 minutes is more than enough. Clinical documentation is a balancing act. You need to include the pertinent information, but avoid including too much information that we might need to speak to if a client wishes to review their file or if a file is subpoenaed. That said, take a breath. No documentation is perfect, nor is that the expectation. This video and the Progress Note Guide document that I'll show you covers how to write clear, concise progress notes that include the important information you need. So print off this Progress Note Guide document that I'll share with you and send to you, and refer to it as you enter your progress notes into Penelope. So we'll go to that document now. So this is structured to look like what's in Penelope and on the W drive. Some of these fields auto-populate, like participant and so on, date, in Penelope. So we want to go to this here, the type of service. For our progress notes, we would click on session. If you happen to do contact notes for a phone call or collateral contact, there's some tips here for you as well. But for progress notes, we click on session, and that would take us down to this section here. We want to record in point form, presenting symptoms, dynamics, issues, and/or concerns, goals addressed in this session, whether they be service agreement goals or session goals, talked about in the session or previous session. Progress towards those goals would also be recorded here. Some tips for this section. Recording names, use client or client initials or first initial with last name. Refer to yourself as this writer or this counselor. Point form is highly recommended again. It really helps to eliminate extra words and extra effort, really. Be clear and concise in what you're recording, but also factual, and whatever you're recording is observable. Write your note as if you were going to have to defend its contents. We want to minimize and avoid direct quotes and paraphrase instead. If you do quote somebody, be sure to place their exact words in quotation marks. Avoid making subjective statements that can't be substantiated. When making statements, include pertinent evidence. Like, for example, client appeared anxious as evidenced by wringing his hands, or client expressed feeling better this week, which was corroborated by their improvement on their ORS scores. Keep your note short and to the point, and avoid expanding beyond what is required. The next section in the progress note is interventions. So we want to kind of talk about the modalities and interventions used, as well as their effectiveness or their perceived effectiveness. Refer to the sample list of interventions in Appendix X or A of this document. So in these pages here, you'll find a list of common modalities and interventions. These are not exhaustive. They're only, a sample. There's, I think, 2 pages of different modalities and a few of their more well-known kind of interventions. Not exhaustive by all means. So if you're looking for, ways to articulate what you did kind of do in session, you can find the intervention and then also kind of mention the modality that it pertains to. And that can be helpful just to kind of speed up the process of including that information in your note. So the next section is plan for next meeting. Again, in point form, just kind of what your hopes or what you had planned to cover in the next session with the client. Specific topics you might have talked about or thought about presenting. Goals that you might focus on. Specific interventions and resources that you might offer, as well as other information. Again, point form. ORS trends. We want to look at what is the client's current ORS score. So just put that in point form. if the client score is above or below the clinical cutoff. So for instance, if your client scored 24, you would say the client scored below the clinical cutoff of 25. And then you would mention kind of, is the client score trending up, down, or hit a plateau for the past 2 sessions? And with SRS, you would include if their score was 39 or 40. For your information, that kind of reflects a good alliance, so you don't need to comment any further. If the score is between 35 and 38, for your, just so you know, this reflects a fair alliance. So you might want to add a comment on a strategy to further improve the therapeutic alliance. And if the score is 0 to 34, this reflects a poor alliance. You could comment on some different strategies or ideas you might have to attempt to increase the therapeutic alliance. So again, if you're completing this note in Penelope, simply locking the progress note after constitutes your signature for virtual files. So that's about it. Thank you and good luck.